Of you lucky enough not to have me as your rep, I will introduce myself. My name is Nick Curtis. I'm part of the core lighting sales team, along with Allie, Kathy, Tammy, Troy, and Todd. I want to especially thank Allie and Tammy, who put a lot of work into this presentation and did a great job with its content and layout. This week's webinar is on Bulbrite, focusing on the Solana SMART bulb. We are very fortunate enough today to have with us Martha Kahn from Bulbrite. She is a Solana expert. Martha will be going over some of the setup, the features, how to pair the bulbs, and some of the marketing avenues that Bulbrite is going on with Solana right now. So we will start with kind of the basics. We'll start off that, what is a smart bulb? Well, you can see right on the first page here at the bottom, Bulbrite's slogan for the Solana bulb is "Smart is the new beautiful." So already these bulbs are 2 steps ahead of me on that. These bulbs, smart bulbs, are doing things we never really thought possible just a few years ago. With an app on your phone or your smart home system, you can turn your bulb on and off. You can dim the bulb, and you can change the color temperature of the bulb. You can even set scenes and set schedules with these bulbs, all without the use of any hub. It's literally, you just need Wi-Fi and you screw in the bulb, you are good to go. So let's kind of go over the lineup here and look at our options for these Solana smart bulbs. So we start with the ST18, kind of the vintage look, clear. We have the G25 in the clear, for a bigger glass opening. We have then the standard A19. All of these are 600 lumens. And you can see that price point in there to that $19.95. That is a UMAP. So that's a unilateral minimum advertised price. So if it's on the internet, that's as low as they can advertise that bulb for. You can certainly sell it less than that in your showrooms, but this is what the advertised price is going to be at. For your cost, you can refer to your price sheet. Bulbrite's constantly, because there's always changes within their bulbs, they're constantly changing their price sheet. So contact whoever is your rep, and we will get you an updated price sheet out to you right away. So with these clear bulbs, the color temperature can be adjusted between 2200 and 6500. That's the same for all of these. They can be dimmed, and all the scene setting as scheduling will go along with these bulbs. Next, we have 2 of the frosted white bulbs. We have the A19, and we have a BR30 for recessed lights. Same thing with these bulbs. They're dimmable, all the scene setting, and they can be color change, temperature change from 2200 to 6500. And again, these, we got $13.99 and $17.99 for the UMAP on these bulbs. Third, we have the A19. Now, but this one in the frosted white still. Now, this one incorporates the RGB spectrum along with the white cool to warm temperature change. So it still has that 2200 to 65 range, but now you also get the RGB spectrum along with it. Lastly, we have the brand new introduction that Bulbrite came out with these smart bulbs, and that is in the milky white finish. Okay, so it's a very trendy finish going on right now with these bulbs. It's less harsh than you're going to get with a clear bulb, but the light, the translucent light that comes out of this is beautiful. Note a couple differences with these bulbs. One, there's no collar. So it's a really nice decorative look with this bulb. Really looks like the old incandescent versions. And they're 90 CRI. So these are Title 20 bulbs, enclosure rating, the whole 9 yards. The pricing we have on there, because these are so new, that is a tentative price right now from Bulbrite. It could be, hopefully not any higher, but it could be a little bit lower. So more information or exact information will come out in terms of the pricing on these bulbs. Now I will turn this over to Martha. Martha will talk about the marketing features aspects that Bulbrite's doing with Solana, as well as how easy it is to pair these up and all the features. So take it away, Martha.
Excellent. Thank you and good morning. Thank you for joining us. I just wanted to share a little bit now that you know the assortment that's available to you. Smart is something that has penetrated the electronics market, but also now the lighting market, and it's becoming a staple that's required in a lot of residences. So one of the challenges I think a lot of new distributors have is, how am I going to sell this? My audience is maybe a bit older. They may not understand smart. Some people just simply don't see the value in smart. It's just a light bulb. What can it actually add to my daily life? So I wanted to share with you a few of the tools that Bulbrite has put into place to support our retailers and our distributors. One of them is a dedicated Bulbrite Solana website. It's bulbritesolana.com. As you know, the Bulbrite website is intended for distributors, so we wanted to build something that would speak to the consumer and that would assist you in communicating the value of smart to your customers. So a few of the features on bulbritesolana.com, and I encourage you all you can either now take a look or after the webinar, go visit and check it out. We have a few things. Starting here on the left, we have a feature or accessibility to our customer experience team. It's called the Solana Squad. So if you have any questions from your consumers that you are not readily approved or not readily able to answer, these can get very in-depth and require a lot of technical direction. So you can direct them to us via email or by phone, and we'd be happy to take those calls on your behalf. We also have an FAQ system or web page where if you have frequently asked questions, you can direct your consumers there. You don't have to deal with those or build your own for that. We also have troubleshooting assistance on our website. The great thing about having us do that instead of you is that we have a pool of all of our distributors and all consumer experiences across the nation. So we've seen a lot of instances of things that need to be corrected and know the ways to answer those questions, as well as tutorials, which is what I'm going to go through in the second half of the presentation. In the middle of the screen, you'll see that even the product descriptions are much more consumer friendly. And so people can see the features and benefits of these products, but also get communicated lifestyle imagery and how to use a lot of that at home. Also, if you do become a Bulbrite Solana dealer, we have a listing where we would list all of our partners here. So this is a great way, especially in your regions, for people to know where to go to see it. I think that smart oftentimes is very difficult to just buy online without really seeing what it can do. And people are going to want somewhere to see that. So if you become a Bulbrite Solana dealer, you would be listed here on our website with a zip code finder, so people would be able to find you in their region. We also have, as resources, if we click over, merchandising tools. So one of the great things is that we offer this merchandising unit, which you see here. It's actually shown just 3 times. It's just the singular shelving unit in the middle of the screen there. Is that sometimes Smart does speak to a user enough, and some people are educated enough that it may be an impulse buy. If they are in your showroom, it gives you a small footprint where someone can actually see the benefits with the artwork along either side of the merchandising rack. And they may ask the salesperson. A lot of times, we struggle with how do we upsell somebody on an LED product. Putting it in front of them may just trigger them to ask those questions live without the salesperson having to actually pitch it. We also do have varying promotional levels. So we do offer the display rack free with a certain qualifying buy-in level. Nick or your regional rep would be happy to share that with you. We have supporting tent cards, we have Echo Dots so that you're able to actually demo this in the showroom as well. So that's some of the ways that we will support you, not only from a website perspective and a customer experience perspective, but actually merchandising inside of your store. Additionally, to the merchandising, we're also doing a lot of marketing. Some of the media coverage that we have had includes areas or outlets that a lot of you recognize. So we have been featured in Better Homes and Gardens. We're actually featured in Better Homes and Gardens, the lighting edition, which actually, I believe that's an April edition, that reaches a lot of residential consumers, and it's in supermarkets across the nation. We've been featured on Apartment Therapy, which is very popular online, Business Insider, NBC. So there is talk about Solana out in the market, and so that's going to help promote and drive business into your retail stores as well. All right. We've also done a lot of social media coverage. For those of you that are working from home, I'm sure your social media usage has gone up. So we're making sure that we're reaching people that are interested, that are in the residential market, that are in the target audience. So the person that's actually walking into your showroom stores. We've been working with these little profiles. These are all of our influencers that we have contracted with, and they basically take the product and they post about it. So they're posting real experiences. They're posting opportunities of what you can actually do with the product. And all of this will just generate overall national interest, and also just intrigue people so that now they do want to go to bulbritesolana.com and find those retailers in their area. So far we've had 35 million impressions, so that's been great social media coverage for us. We can click over to the next slide. Okay, so now we're going to jump into the tutorials. So every slide that you're going to see from here on out is kind of the simple way, since we're doing this virtually, to try to explain how the bulb works, what are the features of the bulbs, and all of these are actually PDF tutorials that you have access to as well as a Bulbrite Solana dealer, that you have access to share as PDFs, and they're also on the resource page for bulbritesolana.com. So the first is pairing a bulb. So basically, we're telling consumers, you can take this bulb home, you're going to have features like color changing, CCT tuning, dimming, all at your fingertips. All you need is Wi-Fi on your phone. So the first process is pairing. It's very simple. Once people take their bulb home, all they have to do is download the Bulbrite Solana app. It's available both on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. And then they would go through basically a 2 to 3 minute pairing process. The few things that I do want to tell you that you would need to know as a salesperson is that it does have to be connected to a 2.4 gigahertz network. So many people have dual band. They'll have 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. Some people say 5G. That's kind of improper nomenclature. It's more phone nomenclature. But 5 gigahertz, and that's usually your higher speed Wi-Fi inside of your home. Most people have both. Some of the newer installations actually are limited to 5 gigahertz, so that may be one of the barriers to actually using Bulbrite Solana, but I can assure you that this is a smart thing, I guess, across all smart manufacturers. 5 gigahertz is just something has not been brought to lighting yet for smart products. So everybody is operating on 2.4 gigahertz, and you also need to install it in a socket that's not connected to a dimmer. I have had users that have connected it in sockets operated by a dimmer, and it has worked. But it's just so spotty and it's not recommended. This is the same nomenclature that you'll see on anybody's smart light bulb products. So once you go through the pairing process, you'll see the last screenshot here on this slide just says it's set up properly. One of the first features and the most basic is that you can adjust brightness with your smart bulb. So what you'll see here under the step 1 image is to brighten or dim a multiple bulb, select the group. So what you'll see on this fake Apple screen is that you have groups. So you have things called living room and kitchen and entryway. And one of the first things you can do is just honestly turn it on or off from your phone. Um, and this, because it's connected from Wi-Fi, you could be in the office, you could be in your home, you could be in another state, honestly. As long as your bulbs were set up and they're still connected to your Wi-Fi at home and your Wi-Fi is on at home, you personally on your phone don't have to be on the same Wi-Fi network. So that's one of the advantages, is that you could do on, off, adjust brightness, and the other features we're going to talk about day in and day out from anywhere you are. So one of the great things is that you don't only have to control it at the group level, which you see in step 1, you can control it at the bulb level too. So in step 2, we actually have all of the various lights here. So they must have a dining table light, a sofa light. Um, Instead of living room, this could be kitchen chandelier because you might have multiple bulbs there. And you can do a lot of fun things. I mean, I wish I was there live to show you this, but I'm sure once we're out of this situation, you'll have somebody come demo the product. And step 3, you can see all you're doing is really scrolling up or down on the brightness level. We also have presets, which is that little pink bar that you see up and down. You see there's pink bubbles underneath the scrolling bar. And so that way you don't have to always choose what brightness level you want. You can always just remember, it's the second to the last brightness level. That's the one that I always use for dinner. Um, so I do have a question. I'll just address it. Let's say you're stumbling to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Does your physical light switch become disabled if you have the bulbs installed, so you're only able to operate them with the app? So what I will say is the pairing process requires you to turn the bulb on and off successively 3 times. So if, for example, for nighttime, you one of the things you could do, and I'll talk about it in the next few slides, is that you could set a schedule. So for at nighttime, it'll, be lower, and it'll turn off at, let's just say, 8 p.m. We're all going to bed. That means it's still connected to Wi-Fi. You do have to have the switch on in order to operate it. So that would mean if you need to go to the restroom, one of the great things is that these are voice assistant compatible. So if you have an Alexa or a Google, you could use those in the middle of the night and say, hey, Alexa, can you turn my hallway light to 25%? You'd have some light to actually travel to your bathroom, or you would have to use your phone to do that. If you do choose to turn the switch off at night to actually turn the bulb off, you would have to then use your switch to turn it back on. If you do that once when you go to sleep, and then when you wake up in the middle of the night, that's not going to unpair the bulb, so that would be okay. I think it's just not the recommended way to use it. So I would rather you possibly do a schedule and keep your phone handy. Some people have actually dedicated like an iPad. I'm going to leave the app loaded on this iPad, and this is my living room iPad. So they actually use it kind of like a smart bulb remote or a control system, as a lot of the fancier controls that you would actually install in the wall. You could just do that with an iPad and leave the app there, and have a few throughout your house. So it would be disabled if you turn off the switch, but then you can turn it back on with the switch. All right, so I think we can go to the next slide. So one of the great things about a smart bulb is that you also have the ability to control the CCT. Now you can have a dimmer all day long, and you can have a dimmable bulb, and you can change brightness. So there's nothing really unique about having that inside of a smart bulb. What is unique is that you can adjust the CCT. And what's more unique to Bulbrite Solana is that it's being done in this full glass bulb that looks like an incandescent bulb. So again, here are the screens showing that you can do it at a group level. So if you have a chandelier above your kitchen table, you could turn the whole chandelier to warm white, cool white. The range is from 2200 to 6500K. You can also do individual bulbs. So let's say, in your chandelier, it was you had all RGB bulbs and you wanted to do some blue, some red, you could do that. So you could get as individual to the bulb or to the fixture that it's actually in. What's great is that you can control the group at the same time, so you don't have to guess as to, setting each bulb to the same CCT level. You'd be able to just do that at the group level. All right, so our next feature that we're going to talk about is setting scenes. That's probably one of my favorite features of having smart bulbs because you could really change what a room looks like by using scenes. And if you are a promoter of layers of light and you encourage people to have, portables and a chandelier and perhaps some sconces, there are a lot of dimensions that you can add to an environment inside of one room. Let's say you were working on your dining room. It's probably a little bit more fun than what's suggested here, the entryway. You would just do new scene. On step 3, you can see all of your bulbs are going to come up that you have paired on this app. So it's actually going to say, you have access to dining room, living room, bulb 1, 2, 3, 4. And so you can choose which ones are within the scene. So if in my dining room, I have, bulb A, B, and C, and I also have chandelier, I'm going to say I want to control all of those for this scene. Once you choose which bulbs you want to control in this scene, you go to step 4, and now you can start playing with it. So you're going to say, if I click this button, I want all of the lights to change to this specific setting. And so what you can do there is you can do things like lower your chandelier bulb. If you have a side table lamp, you could turn it to red, and perhaps that's your romantic dinner setting. And you can shift things very quickly now with the click of a button after you save that scene. Um, Even smarter than just setting a scene itself is the next feature of the Smart Solana bulb, which is scheduling. So now that you do have your scenes set as, your consumer, you can turn them into a little junior lighting designer by doing that. They can now schedule it. So if they know, every Saturday morning I have to wake up at a certain time, or actually, quite frankly, a lot of times moms would like to use this to wake up their families, to wake up their kids, get them ready for school. They can actually schedule these different scenes. So if you have a wake up scene that turns everything, let's say to, we won't go as harsh as 5,000, but maybe we'll go to 3,000 K, turn on all the lights at 8 a.m., or turn this specific scene on, this wake up scene at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. That would actually just program. And so now you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about changing it. So if you knew when you were waking up in the middle of the night, you could do this, but you probably don't. So it's great for, waking up in the morning, for your signal that you need to start dinner, or your signal that, the bedtime process is starting. You can actually schedule these things. Another great thing is that scheduling can kind of be used as a security feature. So if you're traveling and you would like your lights to look a little bit irregular, try to do the Home Alone thing. You can actually set your lights to turn on, at a different time every day. So it looks more organic, and people that may be vigilant on your home's activity will assume that somebody's there. Okay, so that pretty much covers scheduling. We do have the one bulb which Nick mentioned, the RGB A19, which is able to change colors. So it does all of your basic adjusting of brightness, CCT tuning, but also changes colors. So that's the color wheel that you see on your screen. You can also, while you're changing the color, you can also change the brightness. So that's going to change kind of the tonality or the saturation of the color. And it's really fun for the family. I would suggest this is probably something mom is buying for her kids. And they're great for holidays, or, a lot of the cause related marketing efforts, things like, Breast Cancer Awareness Month or supporting your veterans. People like to use these on their porches as well. This tutorial I kind of threw in here just to show you the extent of the resources that we have on showing you how Solana works. So of course there's a password update feature, but beyond that there are a lot of other administrative features. You can actually share access with other people in your house. So as long as they have an email address, you could share I guess, control of the bulbs with other members, and you can also limit what they can control. So if you have younger children, you can limit it to the control of the bulbs installed in their room, things like that. So anything that's from an admin perspective, it's very easy to use. One of the things I will mention is that Bulbrite Solana, the app, is actually an exclusive app that we developed. You will see with a few of the other competitors that the apps are actually the same app, but just with a different logo. And that's because they're coming out of development in China. So this is actually something that we spend a lot of time in, just making sure that it's easy for, an American consumer to understand and follow. And I think after password updates, password reset, so we can jump to the next slide. I think this might be where I turn it back over to Nick. Oh, actually, one more thing. As I mentioned about the voice assistants, it is compatible with Alexa and Google Home. Some people that have Alexa or Google Home may have never gone into the app after they set it up, or you may be a frequent app user. So on this screen, and I'm sure this will be a recording so you could see this afterwards, I just wanted to show how easily you can see how to set up a device. On the second screen here, you'll see that there's a plus sign. Once you hit that plus sign, it literally scans everything that you have on your Wi-Fi network and will list all of the bulbs. You can see on the left here, A19 Smart Standard, BR30. It auto recognizes them. It asks you if you want to add them. Once you do, you can do everything the Bulbrite Solana app does. So you can do brightness settings, you can change CCTs, you can set scenes, you can regroup your bulbs. Your groups won't transfer over, but as you can see, there's a function to add group. And then you can do things like ask Alexa to turn your lights to 50%. And it actually is a really smooth functioning feature. We did this at the Dallas show in January, and it was really great to see that in action. The next few slides kind of go through the Google Home experience. Is very similar. So it'll auto scan once you hit setup device. If you go to the next slide, it'll then pick up your devices. It'll say looking for devices, and it'll show them. And it may show other devices you have, like bedroom speaker. Your bedroom lights would be right next to it. I think I have a little another snippet on the next slide just to show other devices that might pop up. But again, on the Google Home app, you can then do on off, changing brightness levels, and you can actually ask it to operate groups. So something like, hey Google, make kitchen chandelier warm white. It'll recognize it. And just a personal tidbit, not that I 100% prefer Google Home, but I do think it's a little bit smarter. So if you do something weird with your RGB bulb and want to challenge it with colors, you can ask it to turn your kitchen chandelier to periwinkle, and it'll know what you're saying. I don't think that the other device, and I can't say her name because I have one here, she may not understand that. So Google tends to be a little bit more robust in the voice commands. I think, Tammy, that takes us to the end. Yep, so I'll turn it back over to Nick, but there are a lot of technicalities on these bulbs. If you have any questions, anybody on the call today, please reach out to me directly.
Awesome. Great job, Martha. Thank you very much. At this time, if there's any other questions, I mean, you can use the chat box. We already got a couple in there from Becky and Matt, or feel free, I don't know if Tammy can unmute people if need be at this time, if you have other questions you just want to ask over the webinar here.
Anyone can unmute themselves if they have a question. It's just a little bit easier if you control it yourself.
One last thing I'll note on this. There are other manufacturers that put out smart bulbs now. Our pricing is extremely competitive. Ones that are lower don't do the things our bulbs do. I've seen some that are $12, $13. Well, all they do is turn on and off or dim. There's no color changing. There's no scene setting. There's no scheduling. So if somebody comes to you and say, oh, I saw this bulb and it was $8 cheaper, it does not do anything at all similar to what the Solana bulbs do. So with their price and all the features that you have, it's a great value. I think we're going to see this gain more and more popularity as time goes on here. Also at this time, I'll just remind you, during the month of April, our agency is doing these webinars every week. We're doing one on Wednesday mornings at 10, and then the same session on Thursday at 1. So if you have any colleagues that didn't get to participate today, they can certainly come on at 1 o'clock on Thursday. Tammy, did you remember to record this? I'm sure she did. So
yes,
we'll also
I did.
All right, wonderful. We'll also make this available if anyone can't participate at all this week. But stay tuned. Next week we'll have elk on Wednesday and Thursday. So if you have any interest in that, be on the lookout for that webinar link coming your way on Monday. With that, I don't see any other questions. So thanks again.
I do have one actually. This is Jacob from Creative Lighting.
Yeah,
so
Jacob.
I was playing around with the Solana bulb, the color changing one in the show floor, and when you activate the color changing, the lumen output drops significantly. I was curious about that. I have some Philips Hue bulbs at home that I'm a huge fan of, and I was hoping that the color output of these would maintain just like the Hues do. I was curious why that is, why the color seems to drop the intensity of the fixture the second you activate it.
Nick, I can address that question. We did have during our first production round a batch of inventory that did have a slightly lower lumen output. Since you're already playing with the bulb and I don't know what your stock situation is, I can definitely track because we did have a second round that was improved on the lumen portion. And we are actually in the process of working on a second generation that definitely has the RGB fully improved. This would be the next Title 20 generation that's going to be released in about another month. So there were definitely some limitations to the brightness output just because of the RGB chipset that was used in the initial batch. But it's something that I can track down to and would be happy to look into for you if you send me some more specific information.
Cool. I kind of figured you guys were either working on it or it was some sort of oddity because it just felt kind of weird. So that's awesome because I love the idea of selling the color changing specifically. Like my roommate and I, we love it. So any sort of feature like that is awesome and really fun.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Yeah. So maybe your rep or Nick, you can get me connected and I can look at that for them.
Yeah. Thank you so much for answering the question too. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks, Jacob.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Well, if that's it, we will conclude for the day. Again, you can get a copy of this from your rep if you need it, if you have sales team members that can't make it tomorrow. Thanks again for joining us. Hopefully we will see you next week. And special thanks to Martha. Thank you so much for helping us out.
Martha.